All right, it looks like so people have joined us. So welcome again. This is Amber from ExpressTruckTax. I appreciate you all taking the time to join us and to just come out and hang with us for a little bit. We appreciate our clients, and we're looking forward to providing you guys with some extra information that would be helpful to you and your business. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. I am going to introduce you to the host. I have my friend here, Sebastian from TruckLogix, and he'll be kind of taking over and leading this in just a minute. But just to kind of give you an overview, we're going to talk about maximizing the back end efficiency of your business. And so we talk to hundreds of thousands of clients a year. And the one of the biggest problems in the industry is just that paperwork side of things. Getting organized and trying to figure out a way that you can keep doing what you need to be doing, running your business, doing what you need to be doing, but keeping the business side of it organized. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be giving you some really good solutions and how to go into 2022 prepared, and so that you are you're making the most money that is possible in 2022. So a little bit about us. Again, my name is Amber, and I'm the Director of Transportation for ExpressTruckTax. And along with me, I have Sebastian, and he is the Product Manager for TruckLogix. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in, and I'm going to turn it over to him. We will have a question time at the end of the webinar. And so if you do have any questions, feel free to use that chat box at any time. And then at the end, again, we'll have a question and answer time. So we'll be able to answer those questions for you at any time during this webinar. So Sebastian, I'm going to turn it over to you. And we'll go through a couple of reasons why ExpressTruckTax is loved, and then also how it is related to TruckLogix.
All right, super excited. Thank you for having me, Amber. So like the first, just so you guys all know, you are all probably very familiar with ExpressTruckTax. They've been in the industry since 2010, and they process millions of forms for the IRS, the 2290 form. They're the market leader in the United States for the e-filing of the form 2290, 8849, and the various amendments associated with those forms. And they are also immersed in the industry as well. We keep ourselves plugged into all the industry news. If you want to, Express Amber is one of the top 50 YouTubers in the trucking industry. Go ahead and give her a follow. And one of the benefits that you get with ExpressTruckTax over other providers is our US-based support team right in Rock Hill, South Carolina. We're about 20 minutes south of Charlotte. We're here to help you. We're also here to answer any questions that you have. Even if you have a question that is not necessarily related directly to the filing of a Form 2290, but maybe a generalized industry question, don't hesitate to give our experts a call. Anybody who answers the phone is knowledgeable in the industry, keeps themselves plugged into the industry news, and is more than happy to help you any way that they can to make sure that you are in the know with all of your tax compliance needs for the end of the year. Just to give you a bit of an overview of the agenda for the things that we're going to be discussing today with regards to TruckLogix and the things that you need to pay attention to in the industry. From the top down, we're going to be looking at invoicing, driver settlements, dispatching, the TruckLogix mobile app, reporting, and then we'll wrap up at the very, very end with a Q&A session. So I'm going to kind of give you an overview of why this stuff is important, starting with invoicing. Everybody knows that invoicing is absolutely critical to maintaining your liquidity week over week or month over month. What we're talking about is invoicing as soon as you can. A timely invoicing scenario is absolutely critical, and you should be set up in a position where you can invoice immediately after load delivery. Working with a factoring company can help you with this and can also decrease the amount of time it takes for cash to hit your bank account. And that brings us to the next point, which is ease of use. What we're talking about is making sure that you have a system in place where you can generate an invoice where it doesn't take you 30 minutes to generate one invoice. You need to be able to produce these things in a timely enough fashion so you actually sitting there formatting a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet to make it look like an invoice should never actually occur. All right, setting up with an invoice with TruckLogix takes one button click, for example. It literally takes less than a second to generate an invoice. One of the things that we just recommended was working with a factoring company. Factoring company can also increase your liquidity by allowing you to get paid faster. What we're talking about is we're talking about the common quick pay scenarios. These can be within 24 hours of final delivery and paperwork acceptance. This can be even as quick as 1 hour after load delivery. You can drop a BOL and an invoice into your factoring company and they'll release the cash, sometimes for an added fee. But what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to weigh the cost of that fee versus the next available option, which is not getting paid. So the example that I'm using in our presentation is a $1,000 invoice with a 3% factoring rate or $970 gross income or net income rather for your company is significantly greater than zero. If you have to wait 90 days or more, or at worst, not get paid by your customer or broker, that can really, really hurt you. It can break your ability to buy fuel. If you can't buy fuel, your trucks can't roll. If your trucks can't roll, you're not making any money. So again, look for these other solutions and use a system like TruckLogix to increase the time. Now, this also coincides with sending all of your paperwork out at one time. You don't want to have to send an email for this and send an email for that, and then kind of direct everybody back into the system to try and figure out what belongs to what. What you're going to need is you're going to need to learn how to use multiple attachments and send multiple attachments at the same time, PDF format or whatever format your factoring company accepts, in order to make sure that you have the 3 traditional pieces to get paid. That's your rate confirmation signed, your BOL signed, and your invoice set up, and with your factoring company's notice of assignment, if it is able to use an email system. The ones that we have worked with are already default in your account. They're TCI Business Capital and Apex. When you sign up for TruckLogix, oh, look, it looks like there's a question in the chat for that. When you sign up for a TruckLogix fleet account, by default, the 3 factoring companies that we would recommend are in your address book. They are already there and available for you to set up. And we even give you a request a quote button next to their names, which you can use to get in touch with them directly. Again, getting yourself setting up with a factoring company and getting yourself into a quick pay scenario is definitely where you want to be when you're first starting out, because again, you can't maintain your liquidity, and a $1,000 swing for fuel purchases in a week can make or break your business. You're going to need to pay attention to that. Okay, next up, talking about driver settlements. Okay, so next up is going to be driver payments, driver settlements. So driver payment scenarios, no matter how complex, can be easily set up within your TruckLogix account. You can generate settlements for contractors, employees, drivers, or even yourself. If you manage a fleet and drive as well. You can set up default payment types for your drivers, reduce the amount of paperwork and the amount of time it takes to get everybody set up by setting defaults in your address book. And then once you draft your settlements in TruckLogix, they are immediately available for previewing by the driver. So if you've ever gotten a phone call from a driver where he's asking you, hey, where's my payment for this? Or you signed me a load and I don't know where it is. What do we do next? Instead of having to deal with that, you just draft their settlement in TruckLogix and they can preview it immediately. And then once it's been drafted, it will dynamically update. So as you and your drivers will work with the settlements, adding reimbursements or deductions and that kind of a thing into the settlement itself, you don't have to worry about going back to it, clicking the edit button and typing into it. It's going to dynamically update as you add things to it. The idea is to reduce the amount of work that you need in order to make sure each trip level item is set up. Okay. Once they're all set up, you're going to then issue your weekly settlements. Weekly settlements is a generalized industry term that refers to anything you would provide to your driver as a finalized weekly, biweekly, or monthly settlement. We call it a driver payment report. It is a snapshot of all the positive and negative items that have been incurred by that driver for the payment cycle. However, your payment cycle is set up, 2 weeks, 1 week prior, whatever that might be, you're going to go ahead and use that information to create these weekly payment reports. It's going to generate a neat, clean, professional output directly to your driver so that you can go ahead and have them all set up and ready to go. We keep the process within our system the same for contractors versus employees. So one of the benefits that you get with our system over others is instead of having to draft a settlement and then draft a separate settlement that looks completely different for a contractor versus an employee. We simply have everything in the system set up the same way. So the process is the same and the output is different by default. One good thing that we do is for contractors, we use the word payments instead of payroll, as there is a legal distinction between those two terms appearing on a driver settlement. So that stuff right out of the gate is going to be one of those things that is immediately beneficial to you if you're currently using, say, like a paper system or an accounting system that doesn't do a settlement the way the industry is ready to actually produce one. Next up is dispatching. So dispatching is going to be making sure that everybody is always on load at the same time, or always on load as max the amount of time that they can be, and making sure that you are in the know with your driver's ability to haul your loads. Now, typically what you're going to do is for an employee, they don't have a choice. When you give them a load to haul, they have to go haul it. So they're going to go get in their truck and they're going to go pick it up and they're going to go drop it off and then they're going to return to base. But for a contractor, you may not have that kind of flexibility. So what you're going to do is you're going to use or want to find a system like TruckLogix and our mobile app that will let you assign and wait for confirmation. This is going to let you create a much more accurate schedule because each one of your contractors can then reply back to each dispatch assignment as to whether or not they will accept or reject the load. When you assign a driver to a load, they should immediately be able to preview the relevant and pertinent dispatch information, their pick location, their drop location, the freight that needs to be loaded into the back of their truck, or the trailer that they need to hook onto. That information should be immediately available to the driver. Even if you assign and wait for confirmation, that information is available via a preview directly to the drivers on their mobile app. So nobody has to wait and nobody has to take phone calls from anybody just to relay the information the driver should already know. Next up is the check call automation. It is part of the dispatching. We love this feature, and so do our fleets and our fleet management. If you've ever gotten a phone call from a broker at 2 a.m. asking you where the driver is, imagine if that never happened again. There's 2 layers of automation that solve this problem for you. The first, there's an automated email system built into TruckLogix. When a check call is added that corresponds to an automated email, it will go out automatically to you and to your customer or broker. You can also automate the check call addition itself. The way that works is the driver adds starting trip when he gets in his truck manually, and then he's going to go ahead and turn on his location data and enable the automatic check calls, and the system will track him as he travels. It'll track that mobile app for him. It uses Google geofencing, so when he enters or exits his pickup or drop off location, it'll add those check calls for him automatically. And again, that triggers automatic emails. So again, he can get into his truck in the morning, load up and unload, and you and your customer are always in the know. Next up is the route establishment. A lot of times you're going to have things like starting locations. He's starting from home. He's returning to base. He's deadheading out somewhere. He's got a bobtail back to the yard to hook on, whatever it might be, this, that, and the other thing. You're going to want to be able to create and customize any of your routes and make them as flexible as possible. So if you can't do this in your current system, or you can't route things the way that you currently want to, you're going to want to explore the ability of the routing tabs within your dispatching of TruckLogix, because again, add any location, address to address routing is available, and then click and drag the things into the correct order. Another pain point that we have for each one of our fleet management is if you give the drivers the app, or you give the drivers an app from another system, they can simply add things that you may not necessarily want them to add. Somebody might fat finger in a $500 fuel expense as a $5,000 fuel expense accidentally. You might not notice it until you go to file your taxes at the end of the year. So what we do is we give you a way to approve and reject any expense that's being added as a reimbursement or otherwise by your drivers. This keeps you in the know. If you also have a requirement that they must add things in, like your receipts from the fuel pumps itself, you can go ahead and reject that stuff. The driver gets a notification and knows he needs to resubmit it. This is just going to keep your finger on the pulse of what your company money is being spent on. Okay. Last but not least, the dispatch scheduling. You should always be advised as to when your trucks are on and off load, when they're going to be off load, when they're going to be on load, and what kind of load that they're on. Okay, you need a system in place to keep track so that you can keep that truck on load. And then if there is a need to, you can put those drivers on their 36-hour home time if they need it. TruckLogix has a built-in dispatching schedule. It gives you, by default, an entire calendar month to look at. You can see who's on load, who's off load, what their current status is, whether they're available, if they're ready to be on the road, right? You need to assign them a load, or maybe if you even mark them down as maintenance. Keeping yourself advised as to where everybody is and when everybody's going to be on and off load will maximize your profitability, because if a truck isn't rolling, say it with me one time, you're not making any money. Okay. Next up is our built-in mobile app. The one thing that I always like to express multiple times over and over again, shout it from the rooftops, everybody gets an app. It's not just the drivers. Your administrators get an app, your dispatchers get an app, your office managers get an app, and your drivers get an app. Everybody gets one. It's not just for doing things like check calls and document uploads for the drivers. Imagine you're out at Christmas dinner later on this month and you need to send a document to somebody that you work with. Wouldn't it be nice if you didn't have to wait till you got home, or worse, go back to your office during the holiday season to send them a document? Administrators, office managers, download your mobile app, get yourself plugged in. Go ahead and open that document section within your mobile app and email or share any document directly from the mobile app to anybody making it request or anybody requesting it from you. Okay. I also recommend that everybody get it because the app is absolutely integral and supplemental to your existing operation. It is not to be used in lieu of the website, and neither is the website supposed to be used in lieu of the mobile app. They are two pieces working in tandem to create one complete system. Okay. The mobile app, the way that it works is, depending on your level of access, you'll have access to certain features. From a driver, 2 different kinds of dispatchers, office manager, and administrator, you'll have access to different things. As an example, an administrator can view every dispatch currently in transit or has ever been in transit, all expenses, chat with drivers, address book, truck zone, documents, that kind of a thing. Dispatchers and office managers have similar views. You'll always be able to see what your current dispatches are. Office managers can see expenses. Dispatchers can see documents. Everybody can see the address book. And you can even track the driver's mobile apps with the office manager, dispatcher, and admin versions of the mobile app. Again, your office staff, the guys that drive a desk, are always aware of what you currently have on the road. If you're using just one part of the application at the moment, just the website or just the app, I would invite you to please explore the other half, as there is a wealth of features and content that you may be missing out on that are designed to make your life significantly easier and improve that back-end efficiency. Again, send somebody a document while you're sitting there at dinner as opposed to going back to your office. Okay, next up is reporting. Now, I can't tell you how many times I have gotten a call from a truck driver or a new fleet that is just getting on the road, and I've asked them this one question: what is your current profit per mile? It's just a question that I like to ask to use to kind of gauge their level of engagement with the financing aspect of their business. And most of the time, and it sounds scary, the answer is, I don't know. And that's never a position you should put yourself in. You should always know, or be able to access with just a couple of clicks, your bottom line. You should know exactly how much money your trucks are generating every mile they roll down the road, or exactly how much money you're losing. You need to have a system in place where you can always check on the trip level or on the company level, on the unit level, or within a particular date range of exactly how profitable you were. This is all of your income versus expenses divided by miles and so on and so forth to get you your cost per mile, revenue per mile, and total profits per mile. You're going to want to access the TruckLogic's reporting section and run that profit and loss report at least on a weekly basis. The reason why: you can make or break your monthly profits if you take a bad lane with a bad rate. You never want to haul a lane that's 1,700 miles for $700. That sounds absolutely ridiculous to most of you. And all of you are probably laughing at that example, but you would be surprised how many people will accept that lane because they don't know how it's going to affect their bottom line. Next is year-end tax reporting. Now, everybody is going to need to follow our upcoming webinar series, which is going to be about year-end stuff, because there are a lot of deadlines coming up in January where if you guys don't comply and file these stuff correctly, Schedule C, 1099s, W-2s, and stuff like that, the IRS, Big Brother, is going to come and put a chain on your door, and that's it. You're done. Okay. Year-end tax reporting, the way that we have it set up in your system is you can access the information that you're going to need to complete these forms. We'll show you how to do those in our upcoming webinar. Maintenance reporting. I can't tell you how many times people have recorded a maintenance item within any system, Microsoft Excel, on paper, any of the other competitors out there, and even TruckLogix, where all they have is an expense amount and a date. They have a maintenance expense and they have no idea what it was for. If you've ever been under an IRP audit, you can tell your buddies that this is exactly what will happen to them. If they don't have the odometer reading, what maintenance was performed by whom, et cetera, it's gonna be a nice long weekend for them digging through their records, trying to figure out that information. The auditor won't go away unless you give it to them. So make sure that you have that stuff, put your stuff in the maintenance module in TruckLogix, and then generate this report to make the auditor go away, well, at least for 10 minutes until they come back and ask for the next set of records. If the filings, basically what you need to do is you need to keep the finger on the pulse for any credits that you might be owed and any taxes that might be due. Every now and then, you're going to run into a driver who decides that he is smarter than the IFTA system and the IFTA fuel tax system, and is going to refuse to fuel up in a particular state, or is going to refuse to fuel up in a particular lane. He'll only fuel up in like Texas or whatever state it is that he likes, that kind of a thing. So our system, although it generates the file-ready IFTA reports, all you need to do is print it and mail it to your base jurisdiction. We also have a couple of reports in there, like the fuel tax summary report. Run that periodically. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to look out for these, guys that think they can game the system, right? And you'll notice that by running those reports, because you'll see like a $1,300 tax payment owed to Oklahoma. You'll have no idea why you owe a $1,300 payment for Oklahoma until you run that report. And then you'll run that report and realize, oh, well, my driver is going through Oklahoma 5 or 6 times a week, the entire state, and he's never stopped there for fuel. That's going to be a problem. That's going to create a very large tax payment to that state and can only be offset by fuel purchases in other states. Again, there's no way to game the IFTA system. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and run these IFTA reports. You can even see how many miles that truck logged, and you can also see exactly how much fuel that truck purchased for a given date range. Again, pay attention to this stuff. Keep an eye on it. You may already be getting this information from your fuel card provider. If you do not have a fuel card provider, the provider we recommend is EFS Fleet One. If you do need a fuel card to keep track of this and start saving money at the pump, you let us know. We have a solution for you. After all this stuff has been said and done, you're going to be in a position where you're going to have a much higher level of accuracy when it comes to the things that you need to be paying attention to. In summation, just to give you guys a brief overview, invoicing. You invoice as soon as you can. Engage a factoring company if there is a poor turnaround time with your customers or brokers. There is nothing wrong with taking a 3% hit on your invoice value if it means getting paid versus not getting paid. Driver settlements. You're going to want to make sure that you're constantly updating those with reimbursements and deductions whenever they occurred, and make sure that those are all on the trip level. So when you generate your weekly reports, everything is itemized correctly. If you don't have a system in place, use TruckLogix. It does it for you. Dispatching. Keep track of where everybody is, who's on load, who's off load, what loads they're currently on. Make sure that you have constant reports and constant communication going back and forth between your drivers and your staff and your customers and brokers. Again, to mitigate those 2 or 3 a.m. phone calls asking for an update. The mobile app, you need a system that you can access from anywhere in the world. If you don't have a PC, you need a way to access it anyway. Use the mobile app that we provide. It's going to save you a significant amount of time. Okay. And last but not least, reporting. A system is only as good as how well you can put information in and how well you can get information back out. And that's one of the things that we take pride in at TruckLogix. It is very, very easy to put your information in and very, very easy to get your information back out. There is no digging, no requesting, nothing like that required in order to get your information back out. Okay, I know I tend to be a little bit long-winded. Thank you very much, Amber, for having me. But what we're going to go ahead is do the Q&A session now.
All right, so thank you, Sebastian, for that information. I do have a couple of questions from people who are on, and I have a couple questions as well.
Great.
Some of the attendees might be from ExpressTruckTax and they've never heard of TruckLogix. Can you talk about price and why would they pick TruckLogix over another TMS?
Oh, absolutely. Okay, so one of the great things about TruckLogix and the way that our pricing is set up is it's very, very flexible. There's no onboarding costs and there are no contracts. So what that means is you do not have to pay a setup cost. You do not get locked in or have any cancellation fees. And we also provide you with a 15-day free trial to kind of test the system out before you get started. A fleet of 3 trucks or more can get started with TruckLogix for just $29.95 per month. It's $30 a month, and that includes multi-user access and mobile app access, where other systems might charge you for little things like data storage, users, additional trucks, this, that, and the other thing. The way that TruckLogix is set up is we don't nickel and dime you. The only additional cost you could ever incur for our $30 a month subscription would be 10 cents for additional faxes or additional text messages if you exceed your allotment. We are very aggressively priced for the space that we are in for the features that we currently offer. And I would invite anybody listening in today to please shop around our feature list versus our pricing schedule. And I guarantee you will not find better features at this price point anywhere else. A single owner operator, $10 a month, $9.95. A single leased operator, $8 a month. A large fleet can get started at just $79.95 per month. And that is a completely uncapped subscription type. You can have any number of trucks in there. To give you an idea, we have all members of the industry currently using TruckLogix, from very small fleets, single leased operators, owner operators, father and son teams, husband and wife teams, all the way up to very, very large fleets of over 150 trucks. So don't worry about outgrowing us. We will grow with you. And again, you can see in our pricing schedule that we are very aggressively priced. And we offer 2 different ways to subscribe, monthly or annually. So after your 15-day free trial, your training sessions with us, your phone calls to us to get additional support, if you're ready to commit, you can save 10% on any subscriptions cost if you subscribe annually as opposed to monthly.
Awesome. Carl wants to know, how easy is it to set the system up for the company, or will I need to be walked through all of this to set up the system?
Carl, when you first sign up for your TruckLogix account and you click that registration button, you're going to put in your name, your email address, your phone number, and you're going to select how large your company is. Then the system is going to walk you through the setup process. You'll enter in things like your business address, your preferred time format, et cetera, et cetera. As you interact with each area of the system, as opposed to just letting you drop in there blind with no idea about what's going on, it's going to ask you for things like your default preferences. The first time you generate an invoice, it's going to ask you if you like to get paid net 15, net 30, or a custom arrangement. So again, it's going to walk you through the setup process. So it's very, very easy to actually get set up. There's no onboarding packet or anything like that that needs to be filled out. It's very, very straightforward, but not to worry. If you have any questions, you get stuck anywhere, or you just want to, chat with our support team, give us a call. We're open 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. If you want somebody to help you or walk you through the setup process, by all means, call anybody on my team. We are always happy to walk you through that process. But again, very, very easy to get set up.
Awesome. What are the 3 factoring companies that you mentioned earlier?
TCI Business Capital, Apex Capital, and it's the Fleet One factoring solution with Wex Bank. They're in your address book by default. If you have an account with us, click the address book button on the top of your screen on that orange menu bar. Click factoring companies on the left-hand quick navigation menu, and they're right there. If you don't or are not already engaged with them, click the button to the right of their name that says request a quote. Send them an email. Get yourself set up there.
All right. And how can the system be incorporated with an owner operator who's leased to a company?
Okay, so leased on, you have 2 different options. And it really depends upon the level of detail that you want to keep for yourself. So for me, I have a personal philosophy of always be kind to future you. So adding in more detail is the way that I would go. You would use the leased operator or the owner operator subscription. The primary difference between the two is the leased operator would be a place for you to record your per diem, your expenses, your fuel ups, your escrow, and your settlements. Think your important financial information only, just the money you're generating and the money that you're spending. The owner operator account is the next level of detail. It can do everything the leased operator can do, but it also lets you keep track of things like your routes, your loads, which truck you used, which trailer you used, just a whole other level of detail. If you could give my support team a call, tell them exactly what it is that you haul and exactly how you are set up with your carrier, and we'll make a better recommendation for you and get you on that free trial. And here's the thing. If you start out with the first one, like leased op, and you decide you don't like it, we can change it to owner op with just a few clicks. So no worries there.
All right. And any options for tracking e-logs?
So the electronic logging systems need to be certified by the FMCSA. So what you're going to be using is you're going to be using your existing electronic logging device. The popular ones out there would be Keep Truckin' and Samsara. We are currently partnered with Keep Truckin', so that's the one that we would recommend first. But future electronic logs in the future, we might be integrating more electronic logs. However, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to use the existing system that you have. If you are currently under the ELD mandate and are required to keep a certified electronic log, your ELD device is going to be doing that for you. Okay.
And then how is there a way to import that information?
That information you wouldn't want to keep on TruckLogix, again, because we're not certified by the FMCSA as an e-log, as a certified e-log. You can keep the information in the driver log section of the account, but I would only use that as a way to store the records. I would not use that as a record of original entry. Here's the reason why. If you ever present a non-certified e-log directly to a state trooper or to a DOT inspector at a weigh station, you get a ticket, period. So again, make sure that it is certified, whichever one you're using as your original record keeper.
All right. And when you said owner operators can incorporate this package, is that owning the authority or just a lease? I think,
Yeah.
I mean, really, we have packages for each, but the answer to the question was, if an owner operator is leased to a company, could they use TruckLogix? And his answer was yes.
Absolutely. Even if you don't have your own authority, you don't need an authority to use TruckLogix. If you're just leased, the leased operator account type is going to be the one that you're going to want to go with. The idea is we want to teach you those good habits, right? You need a space to record all of your information and get it back out. So by using the leased operator account, not only does it give you an easy way to store all of your information and then get it back out, but it's going to teach you those good habits that you're going to need when you eventually grow, become an owner operator, get your own authority, and then start expanding your own business. If you're not putting in all your expenses from the day that you get in the truck the first time to the day that you decide to start your own company, you're going to have problems. TruckLogix is the solution.
Absolutely. Jocelyn, you go to trucklogix.com. When you are on the website, there is a place to sign up. It's an orange button up in the right-hand corner. That will get you to the sign up page. That's where you can start your 15-day free trial. And again, throughout that entire process, we will send you training emails, and you always have access to our support as well. So go ahead and get started with that. Start entering in all of the information, setting up the account. And then once that free trial is over, you'll be prompted to start your subscription. So again, if you have any other questions about that, but trucklogix.com is where you would go for that.
Yep, exactly. Laura, you do not need your HOS information to file your IFTA reporting. Laura asked if how to access the e-log information in order to file the IFTA report. Your IFTA reporting needs your truck information, your mileage information, and the total gallons of fuel purchased. That information is traditionally rounded, and what you're going to be doing is you're going to be reporting that on your TruckLogix system in the dispatch trip sheets and in the expense transaction sections, respectively. The system will do the rest for you. It'll aggregate it for you on that file ready report. You simply need to review the information and output it. Your hours of service information is completely irrelevant to the IFTA filing. The hours of service information is about tracking and logging violations in the hours in which the driver operates.
All right. And will the system automatically calculate and generate numbers so that I can pay my drivers their settlements? Or is this something that I have to continue doing on my own?
Oh, no, it's Carl. It's going to do it all for you. What you're going to do is I set up my driver. Let's just say I have a contractor. He's 1099. I have a 75-25 split with him, and he purchases fuel with my money. The way that I would set him up in TruckLogics is I would enter him in my address book as a contractor, set up his default paying arrangement to be a 75-25 split, 25 my way, 75 his way. And then as he adds expenses into the system, I would either approve them and then mark them as deductions, or I would directly import them from my EFS system, or I would type them in myself as deductions. And then his settlement would decrease based upon those added values. If he then needs to record something like a reimbursement or something, or claim a reimbursement, he can absolutely do so directly from his TruckLogics mobile app, and then I can approve it. That trip level settlement will then dynamically update as this stuff is added and give you a total processed payment amount at the bottom. So you'll always see exactly how much he's to be owed for that one. Okay, so you don't have to constantly do the math or edit it or constantly update it. Once you actually draft it, the system does the rest. You just have to use the rest of the system, like the expenses and stuff like that. And it's going to save you so much time. You wouldn't believe.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think that is going to wrap up our question and answer time. Again, Sebastian, thank you so much.
Thank
if you are not already a TruckLogics subscriber, if you have not subscribed to TruckLogics, if you have not tried it, go sign up for an account today. Don't let it get away. I know a lot of times you're like, I'll go do it later. Just go do it now. You'll start getting all of the training emails and all of the walkthrough information. And the sooner that you start, the better. So go start your TruckLogics trial now. Again, trucklogics.com, upper right-hand corner. It says register, sign up for an account. Go ahead and get started today. And we are here again, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. And then we do have email support as well. So we are here to help you and guide you. And we really are integrated into the trucking industry. So we know what we're doing. So again, thank you so much for joining us today. I will be sending out a follow-up email to everybody who registered with a copy of this webinar. So if you have questions, you can go back and rewatch that and get answers to your questions. But again, just want to stress the importance of going and creating that account now. And then we do have upcoming webinars that are going to be diving deeper into some of these topics that we've talked about, such as the deadlines that are coming up, the UCR deadline, IFTA renewal deadline. Some of you have IRP plates that are renewing at the end of December. So we're going to be going into some of the state deadlines as well as the federal deadlines that are coming up. We're also going to be talking about the importance of keeping track of your reports. And again, Sebastian kind of touched on that quickly, but we're going to dive further into that. So we're going to be having webinars several times a week for the next couple of weeks. So watch out for those emails. We'll be sending them out here shortly, and register for those webinars. Knowledge is power. So we're excited and we are good to go. So thank you again for joining, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate you.